All right, welcome guys to the YouTube live stream. We have 12 NBA games to talk about, and we don't have a ton of time, so I'm gonna go as fast as I can. If this is your first time watching, if you're new to the channel, welcome. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what we know so far, and there's a lot of news still up in the air. We'll take a look at the Vegas odds, we'll go team by team, and then get to questions at the end. So let's go over what we know so far. OG Anunoby questionable. It is pretty significant news. Donovan Mitchell out obviously makes Conley Clarkson look better. Joe Ingles for value. Clint Capella is questionable. That's pretty significant. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Westbrook got ruled out. Kind of expected that after the back-to-back. Raul Neto's questionable. Also somewhat big news. If he's out, they're going to be pretty thin, and then the value plays look a little bit better. Maybe a guy like Cassius Winston will be viable. Goran Dragic did get ruled out as well. We're still waiting on the status of Tyler Hero, which is, again, pretty big news. If Hero's out, then obviously Nunn looks pretty good. Larry Nance got ruled out. Cody Zeller starting ahead of Bismack Biyombo. Zeller's like a decent point per minute guy. He's at 3.4. If we get like mid-20s minutes for him, I actually think he's a safer value play on this slate. Let's see. Al Horford is in, so obviously that takes Isaiah Roby out of play. If there's no limitations for Al Horford, I think he's a decent play in the mid-range. Again, 12 games though, so we got a lot of players to talk about. And I think, let's see. Oh, we got some news here. Pascal Siakam and OG are game time decisions. Clint Capella will play. Okay. And then Gallinari, who got me 1 point last night, will play. Cam Reddish and Rondo game time decisions. Can't talk. We don't have time to go over the Vegas odds, but yeah, looking at a couple that stand out. Obviously, Brooklyn and Atlanta 238.5. Milwaukee, Toronto is almost at 230. 230.5 for Minnesota and Golden State. But yeah, let's go really quick here because then, guys, we have 12 games. I do want to try to get to some questions at the end. No, Capella's definitely not a must play. Definitely not. But he's again, center is pretty loaded today. He's up there with some of the good options for sure. We're still waiting on Domantas Sabonis news, and this changes a lot. If Domantas Sabonis is in and there's no limitations, I think he's probably my preferred play on the Indiana side. If he is out, then we can look to Brogdon, we can look to Miles Turner, even Jeremy Lamb, who played a ton of minutes. So we're still waiting on that news. Kind of hard to say at the moment. Those would be the three guys that would be viable if Sabonis is out. Miles Turner gets probably the biggest boost because he'll play mostly at the he already was playing at the 5, but like no Sabonis does like boost his rebounding because Sabonis is a really good rebounder. So would have more interest there in Turner if Sabonis is not available. On the Charlotte side, the guards on a 12-game slate, I'm not going to take a shot in one of them. Again, if you want to, fine, probably one of them have a good game. But in this slate, no thank you. Gordon Hayward, I think, at the top looks pretty decent. He's been consistent, getting big minutes too, filling up the stat sheets. I think Gordon Hayward's a safer play at 7.5. And then Cody Zeller, with him starting, and he's been playing, mid-teens minutes, about 15 a game off the bench. With him starting, I think we probably get what Bismack Biyombo was playing. And Biyombo was playing, 25 to 28 minutes, so mid to high 20s minutes. If that's what we get for Cody Zeller at 3.4, then obviously it becomes a really good value play. Now, is that guaranteed that he plays those minutes? No, it's not guaranteed, but I think there's a better chance he plays more with him starting. So I do have interest in Zeller for value. Let's move on to Detroit and Cleveland. Detroit, Jeremy Grant at the top, I think looks like a pretty decent option. He's been their best player by far, can fill up a stat sheet. I am perfectly fine with him. DeLon Wright with Derrick Rose back, I'll pass. Plumlee, no thank you. Wayne Ellington, I'll pass as well. Has been shooting like 80% from 3. Very reliant in scoring. Now price up to 5K. I'll let others chase that. Josh Jackson at 4.6 is intriguing with no Blake Griffin. Probably gets mid-20s minutes. He's been a decent offensive player for them. So I think you can make the argument for him. But again, definitely not a must play. That's it for Detroit. And the Cleveland side, so no Larry Nance. Drummond in a revenge game at 8.4. I think you can take a shot on him. We might get around the 30-minute mark. Him and Jarrett Allen, I think they played a little bit alongside together, actually. Yeah, Jarrett Allen played 29 minutes last game. Andre Drummond played 28. With no Nance, I think we might get around 30 minutes. It is a revenge game spot, so you can take a shot on Drummond for GPPs, for sure. I don't think we're going to get like the 38 minutes a game like we were, earlier on with no Jarrett Allen. But, again, Drummond is a decent point per minute guy. You can take a shot on him in tournaments. Sexton, no thank you. There's too many good guard plays on the slate. I'll pass on Osman. Taurean Prince probably gets some decent run as a value play. You can consider him, but again, not my favorite play. I'm not going to go to Okoro on this slate. All right, Sacramento, Orlando. Real quick, let's refresh. Let's make sure we're up to date. I think we are. Let's see. Yep, we are up to date. So, again, guys, I'll go to questions at the end. We're at 200 viewers, 25 likes. Can we get to 100 likes before the end of the show? That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, on the Sacramento side, honestly, there's not a ton I like here. I think Fox is a little overpriced. Holmes is viable for GPPs, but there's so many good center plays on this slate. I think you can make the argument for Marvin Bagley at 5.7, but definitely not a must play for me. That's really it. On the Orlando side, I do like Vooch a good amount, and Aaron Gordon. I love the spot for both these guys. Both should play, mid to high 30s minutes. Vooch has a pretty high floor as well as a high ceiling. I do think he's a really safe play with some upside. I do like Vooch. I do like Aaron Gordon too. Probably prefer Vooch to Gordon, but both have upside. Gordon is a little bit cheaper. I'll pass on Fournier. I'll pass on Ross. I think you can make the argument for Cole Anthony at 5.5. Probably plays around the 30-minute mark. In good spot here. So I think he's a decent play in the mid-range. Everything else, though, is stayaways for me. Brooklyn and Atlanta. So KD, Kyrie are probably the two guys I would look to. KD's been the most consistent of the big three, just because he's a guy that has a little bit of a higher floor with his rebounding. He's getting some blocks and steals, right? So KD I think is probably the safest option on this Brooklyn team if you're going to spend up. It is a good matchup. Harden, I'll probably pass on. Right now he's taking the biggest hit. I'm not saying he obviously can't go off. It's James Harden, but I think in this slate I'm probably not going to go there. If I was going to take a shot on one of the guards, I think it would be Kyrie. Both are playing similar minutes, both have similar usage, and Kyrie is just cheaper. So if I had to pick one of those guards, I think I would go Kyrie. The value, I will stay away on this 12-game slate. All right, the Atlanta side. So we got news Capella is in. Brooklyn really struggles rebounding the ball. Capella's been absolutely insane this year, or recently. He's been 50-plus fantasy points on almost every single slate. Forgot Garland. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Forgot Garland. No limit in the 4K. He was 6K. Yeah, I mean, I can go back and talk about Darius Garland here for a sec. Where is he? He's at 4.6. Yeah, if you want to go there for value, I don't hate it. He started the season off really strong, and I was a skeptic. And then when I bought into him, he did absolutely terrible, and then they're kind of easing him back. No minutes restriction. I would say we probably get around the 30-minute mark. Definitely in play for value. Definitely. Yeah, I'm personally probably not going to do it, but I don't think he's the worst play. Thank you for this super chat again. I appreciate that. All right, so back to Atlanta. Yeah, Capella, if you want to spend up, I mean, he's viable. He is. I don't know if he continues to put up 50-plus fantasy point games, but like I said, Brooklyn really struggles to rebound the ball, so you could see a big game here from Capella. I also like Trae Young for GPPs. Not a cash game play because we've seen some pretty low floor games from Trae. But at 9-2 in this matchup, you could see a big game from him. I do kind of like his upside for GPPs. Yeah, Collins with Capella back, I think it's just a secondary play for me. And then the wings, I'm just going to stay away from on this one. Hunter's all right, but not for me at 6.5. Denver and Miami, so Jokic at 10.5, I think is decent, but not a priority for me. Again, he's been a pretty consistent player. If you have the money for him, I think that's fine. Murray, MPJ, GPP only options for me at their respective prices. The value, I'll probably pass on as well. Monte Morris would be the one guy if I had to pick one, but don't love it. On the Miami side, so we're still waiting on some news. Let's see if we got any more news here. We're still waiting on Tyler Hero status for Miami. So Bam Adebayo's at 8.6. My one issue here is, again, just going up against Jokic, I'm a little bit worried about foul concerns with Bam. If he can stay out of foul trouble, and if there's no Tyler Hero, the offense is going to be Kendrick Nunn and Bam Adebayo. So you can definitely take a shot on him in GPPs. We've seen some upside games from him. It's just a matter of, can he stay out of foul trouble, which I think is a realistic, concern going up against Jokic. Now, Tyler Hero at 7K, if he plays, I probably don't go there. But if he misses, again, we already have Dragic out. If Hero's out too, I don't see how you get away from Kendrick Nunn at 5.7. With those two guards out and Jimmy Butler out, he's been playing mid-30s minutes. Again, he had a terrible shooting game last game. He's a guy that has upside, and Denver's not a bad matchup either. So I think Kendrick Nunn would be one of the better plays in the mid-range if Tyler Hero's out. Robinson I'll pass on. We got news that, where is he? Am I losing it? Where? Oh, Avery Bradley. There. So I was like, where is Avery Bradley? Avery Bradley's in. He'll probably get around the 20-minute mark, maybe a little bit more. You can take a shot at him almost mid-price, but we haven't seen him in a while, so don't feel amazing about that. I don't think I would get to anyone else. Maybe Iguodala, I guess, is already at 3.9, but really the priorities for me, if the two guards, if Hero's out too, I think Nunn would be one of the better plays in the mid-range. Then Bam Adebayo, a good GPP play as well. All right, let's move on to the Lakers and Philly. So this game should be pretty fun to watch. LeBron James at 9.9. I prefer other spend ups. Not saying he can't get there, but I prefer other spend ups. I think Anthony Davis is an intriguing play just because the price at 9K. He's played 37, 38, and 36 minutes in competitive games. So yeah, AD, again, he's still had a actually somewhat low floor. But I think he's a guy that at this price does seem a little bit too cheap. So AD would be the guy for me in the Lakers. Everyone else I'll pass on for this 12-game slate. On the Philadelphia side, there's one player and one player only, and that's Joel Embiid at 9.4. Even though the matchup's not great, we've seen some big games from Joel Embiid. So it's Embiid, it's Anthony Davis in this game, and that is it. All right, back half, 6 games to go. Let's see. Let's make sure we're all up to date. I know I'm going a little fast, guys, but again, want to leave some room for some questions at the end. So Milwaukee and Toronto, Giannis Antetokounmpo is always in play. He'll be low on in this slate. Middleton, Drew Holiday, secondary plays for me. Brolo and Bobby Portis, they're going up and down with the minutes, right? Bobby Portis, the minutes are going down, and then kind of all of a sudden he played 27 minutes just out of nowhere. Again, he's a good point per minute guy. You can take a shot at him in GPPs. I would label him pretty similar to Chris Boucher, right? The minutes are never secure, right? Chris Boucher, they just never want to play in minutes. Bobby Portis, the minutes are up and down, but when he does get extended, normally he'll have a pretty big game. So you can take a shot at him for GPPs, but that's it. Milwaukee side, it's kind of Giannis. Maybe take a shot at Portis for GPPs. On the Toronto side, so we are still, I believe, unless I missed that, still their game time decisions, Pascal and OG. Yeah, game time decisions. So like this changes things. Again, there's so much news up in the air right now that it's a little bit hard to break down some of this stuff. If both Siakam and OG Anunoby are out, then obviously Van Fleet and Lowry look like safe plays, both below 8K. And then I think Chris Boucher would become a good GPP play. Again, minutes up and down. He did play 30 that last game. But previous game only 21. Powell would be an okay option. He is priced up, but he's been playing huge minutes. And then maybe a guy like Stanley Johnson at 4K, who's been playing decent minutes already. If both those like wing forwards are out with OG and Pascal Siakam, I think Stanley Johnson, if he starts, actually becomes a pretty solid value play. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that for Toronto. If they're both in, then I'll probably just stay away from Toronto in general. Boston and San Antonio. So on the Boston side, I think Kemba Walker is going to be decently popular on the slate. He's been really solid in limited minutes. Now, we don't have any news yet on if he's still on a minutes limit. So, like, there's just that concern. I would assume we get probably close to the 30-minute mark in a close game. And with that being said, in this matchup, I think it does make him a pretty solid play. Not a must play, but I think he is, one of the better plays in the mid-range. He will be decently owned. Tatum and Brown also viable, not priorities for me with Kemba back, but they're decent options. Smart, I'll stay away from. Tice has had some big games with the blocks and steals. We're probably not going to get that again. I'll pass. Thompson, I prefer other cheaper centers, and Teague is basically out of play with Kemba Walker back. On the Spurs side, so there's two guys for me. It's DeRozan and DeJounte Murray. I probably prefer DeRozan, or probably prefer DeJounte Murray. I guess it's close. Both seem a little bit underpriced. Like, I don't love the matchup for them, but DeRozan should play mid-30s minutes in a competitive game. He can stuff the stat sheet. We know DeJounte Murray has triple-double upside, even though it's a bad matchup. So, like, both these Spurs guys I think are viable here. Would probably prefer Murray, but yeah. That's really it for the San Antonio side. Washington, New Orleans. So we're still waiting on Raul Neto status, which is actually pretty big news. Now, there's no Russell Westbrook, so Brad Beal, even though he's priced up, I think does make for one of the better spend-ups of the slate. Going to have to play huge minutes. I think he has a ton of upside if you can get to him. There obviously is some blowout risk, right? This Washington team is just terrible. So it's like Beal and literally a bunch of scrubs. So, Beal, if this game's going to stay competitive, we'll most likely see a pretty big game from him. I like his upside there. Raul Neto, again, this is actually pretty significant news. If he plays, slight downgrade to the value. And I think if he plays, he'd probably play somewhere around, the 20 to 25 minute mark, which would make him an okay play. If he misses, I think Cassius Winston starts at point guard. I think. If he does, then that catapults him to obviously become one of the best value plays in the slate. We haven't seen a lot from him yet in the NBA, but I know he went to MSU, he was a Michigan killer. He's a good player, a good scorer. So he's a guy that I actually would have interest in. I think would be a pretty solid value play if he starts, if Neto's out. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. If Neto plays, then I think Cassius, you can maybe take a shot at him off the bench, would be a lot riskier. The rest of the value guys, Sabonga is just too low usage. I don't he is literally an Isaac Okoro-esque, Tony Snell-esque. This guy is just, I don't want to do it, even at 4.3. Robin Lopez, Did play 30 minutes the last game. I guess he's all right, but I'm not super excited about that. Jerome Robinson intrigues me. I know he had a bad game last game, but he's still got 30 minutes. He's a guy that does have some upside, can stuff the stat sheet. He'll honestly probably be the number 2 in this offense. So, like, he still intrigues me. I think people will hop off after letting people down last night, but I still have some interest in Jerome Robinson. You can look to Garrison Matthews, a little reliant in scoring, but I guess he would be okay. Len lost his minutes. He played 21 minutes in his first game, only 6, so like you can't trust that. Jordan Bell did play some minutes on the bench. He played 16. He's a decent point per minute guy if you want to take a long shot in GPPs. Anthony Gill started, played 22 minutes. Again, a lower usage guy, but he is min price. And that's really it. So it's Beal obviously at the top, and then depending on role Neto status, that does change things. Because Neto's out and Cassius starts, I think Cassius would be one of the better value plays of the slate. If Neto's in, I think Neto's fine, and then probably the guy I would look to would be a Jerome Robinson there at 4.8. All right, on the Pelicans side, so this is a really good matchup. I think you can definitely consider these Pelicans. I probably prefer Zion to Ingram just because he has a little bit of a higher floor. Again, he should be able to feast in this matchup. Bledsoe, Ball, definitely in play for GPPs. Now, they've both been up and down, so I don't know if you can trust these guys in cash. But again, I do like the matchup. Both should probably play around the 30-minute mark. They're both in play. Steven Adams, the minutes been a little up and down, but when he gets about 30 minutes, he usually has a pretty high floor. You can go there, but again, opportunity cost center is pretty loaded. That's probably it. I mean, NAW, I think, gets around the 20-minute mark off the bench, but more of just a GPP dart throw there. All right, 3 games remaining. Let's see. Let's refresh Fantasy Labs one more time. Let's see if we're all up to date here. Sabonis available to play. Okay, so Sabonis available to play. If there's no limit on him, he's probably my preferred target. That kind of takes Miles Turner out of play. Downgrade to Brogdon. Downgrade to Jeremy Lamb. All right, on the OKC side. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 8.5. Phoenix is one of my favorite teams to target in the slate. And if you want to get a good amount of exposure to them and run it back with someone, the bring back guy is probably either SGA or Al Horford now that Al Horford's playing. We've seen some big games from SGA. Not a priority for me on the slate, but is still viable at that elevated price point. Now, Al Horford is available. If there's no limitations, I don't think there will be because of his personal issue. If there's no limitations, I think we get around the 30-minute mark in a good spot. I think he would be an okay play at that price. So again, center is pretty loaded. That takes Roby out of play for me. The rest of the value plays, I don't know if I get to any of them. Like Diallo, I thought he would play more minutes with no George Hill. He basically played around the 20-minute mark. He's been a high-usage guy, but even if George Hill's out, and just more of a secondary play. You can take a shot in Dort or Roby and GPP, or Dort or Bazley and GPPs, but just on this slate, I'm probably going to stay away. I don't want to deal with the headache OKC value. On the Phoenix side, so mentioned, this is one of my favorite teams to target with no Devin Booker. I like all 5 of the main guys. I like all 5 quite a bit here. I think Chris Paul's a pretty solid play at 7.6. I think we get somewhere around the 30 to 35-minute mark. Usage will go way up with no Devin Booker. He had 15 and 13 assists in back-to-back games. It is a revenge game narrative too. The price come up a bit, but I think Chris Paul's a safe option. I like the upside a good amount in DeAndre Ayton, who's been playing a lot more minutes, 35, 36, 37, and 38 minutes. He should be able to have his way against Horford-Roby combo. So I actually do like DeAndre Ayton a good amount here at 7.3. I think he's one of the better plays kind of in that range. And I like all 3 wings. Normally these wings I stay away from. But with no Devin Booker, all of them played big minutes. Mikal Bridges even gotten some foul trouble too. So I expect like all these guys to play mid 30-ish minutes. And I like them all. I think Cam Johnson for his price probably looks the best to me. But I really like Mikal Bridges too. And I think Jay Crowder's, all 3 of the wings are in play. The value I would stay away from. I know Abdul Nader played 30 minutes the last game, but he played 20 in regulation. Again, Cam Johnson had some cramps, so that's why he did not close or not play at all in overtime, which is really tilting for me because I had a low-owned Cam Johnson that night. But yeah, Nader, I wouldn't go there in this slate. It's the top 5 guys for me who I think all start, and I like all 5 quite a bit here. Dallas and Utah. So Dallas, Luka Doncic firmly in play. He will be, I don't think he's going to be super popular. Again, there's 12 games, and he's going up against Utah, so I think that'll just scare some people away. But I mean, he's in play every single slate, and he's still below 11K, which is a little bit surprising. I do like the upside on Luka Doncic. I think he goes a little bit overlooked on the slate, but I still like him a lot at the top. Porzingis, I'll stay away from the value on this slate. There's just no way I'm going to any of those guys. On the Utah side, so big news that we didn't have when I made my video last night was Donovan Mitchell out. So that obviously, like Mitchell had a terrible shooting game, last game 3 of 15, but like he plays mid-30s minutes, and he's the highest usage guy in this offense. So with him out, normally the Jazz are a team that I'm like, I don't really like them. That really changes on this slate. Mike Conley at 6'1", I think makes for one of the safest plays on the slate. Gets a usage bump. I don't think he plays a whole lot more minutes. I think we probably still get the low 30s minutes for him, but he'll have to do a lot more with no Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a very safe play. I like Clarkson, assuming he starts. I mean, they might start Joe Ingles. We'll see what they do. Either way, both Clarkson and Ingles are way more viable on the slate. Clarkson, we know when he gets minutes, he's an aggressive player, so I like his upside for GPPs. I think Joe Ingles, again, maybe he starts, maybe Clarkson starts. We don't know yet, but like Ingles played 27 minutes that last game. I think he probably gets around the 25 to 30 minute mark at 4.2. I think that makes him a pretty solid value play. Royce O'Neal had a big game last time out. You can go there if you want to. I guess he's all right. Bojan at 5'8", don't love it. He's just too reliant in the scoring for me at that close to 6K price. And everyone else just kind of stay away. Oh, Gobert. Gobert, I think, center's loaded tonight, but Gobert should play, around the 30 to 35 minute mark. I think he's a safe option as well. So really, I like Conley. I like Clarkson. I like Ingles. I think O'Neal's fine. I think Gobert is a very safe option. So, I'm also pretty high on the Utah Jazz, which is really weird to say. But yeah, if no Donovan Mitchell, it just changes a lot of things. Finally, Minnesota, Golden State. So D'Lo, we're still waiting on that news. If D'Lo's in, I think he's a decent GBP play. Revenge game narrative, good matchup. If he's out, Malik Beasley is going to be the number one in this offense. Should get 30 to 35 minutes. I would like his upside for GPPs. And then it would be Rubio, probably starting a point, probably get mid to high 20s minutes. I think he'd be a decent play at that price. You could look to McLaughlin as a punt play in tournaments. Probably gets around the 20-minute mark off the bench. Has actually been okay. The rest of the guys, I don't know if I get to anyone else. Anthony Edwards has been, when he's out there shooting the ball a ton, just does have a pretty low floor. The bigs like Naz Reid, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's a good point per minute guy. It's a risk. Like Vanderbilt is, again, another good point per minute guy, but the minutes are just not secure. Like a lot of guys besides the main guards are just playing 20 to 25 minutes. So it's really hard to get excited about any of the fringe guys in Minnesota. Lastly, Golden State. So Steph Curry at 9-3. If this game stays competitive, I think we could see a big game from Steph. Now, kind of like Trae Young, I don't know if I can go there yet in cash games because both of them have shown a low floor. But we also know both of them have really high ceilings in Trae and Steph Curry. Fantastic matchup. We know he's going to play mid-30s minutes if the game stays close. As long as it does, I like his upside a good amount for GPPs. Wiggins, Oubre, Green, fine place. Secondary options for me. Wiseman, if he comes off the bench, I have no interest there. The rest of the value, like wings and guards, I'll pass on. If Looney starts, I think you can make the argument for him, but I just prefer Cody Zeller at a similar price, who is just a better point per minute guy. And that is it, guys. So let's refresh Fantasy Labs, and we'll get to questions. Saved about a little over 10 minutes for some questions. All right, Cam Reddish available. Rondo out. That doesn't do a ton. And we are basically up to date. So let's get to some questions. Almost 400 viewers, 64 likes. Can we get to that 100 like mark? Again, I'll stay on for a good another 10 minutes to answer some questions. I appreciate all the support, guys. Yeah, this slate, guys, it's going to be stressful. We are still waiting on a lot of news. If there's a player that I didn't mention or I'm not super high on that you really like, go with your gut, right? I'm going to be wrong a lot. So if I didn't bring up someone that you like, don't let me talk you off of them. There's so many plays that are viable on this 12-game slate. Prince, I think Prince is a decent value play, yeah. Would you go 3, Paul, Ayton, and Cam Johnson? I think you could. Again, I think the Suns are one of my favorite teams to target. So yeah, I think you realistically could play all 3. I think all 3 get some pretty, as long as the game stays competitive, I think all 3 play, mid-30s minutes, I would say. Really want to play Garland. I think Garland's decent. Again, someone mentioned, I forgot to mention Garland at 4.6 with no minutes restriction. I think he's fine. Fox, Gordon, Vooch game stack. It's contrarian. I don't love Fox at his price, but he can definitely get there. He's shown some upside games, and then Gordon and Vooch are in a smash spot. It's yeah, you can do that on a 12-game slate. If you're game stacking, you probably need overtime, but it's definitely doable. Hey, Deke, how's your day going? It's going all right. Excited for this 12-game slate. I'm a little bit stressed because there's a lot of news still up in the air, and obviously I got to provide content for premium members. So yeah, a little bit stressful, but I think it's a decent slate for sure. Kyrie seems too cheap. What about Tatum for GBPs? Both are in play for sure. Kyrie is probably point per dollar my favorite Brooklyn net. I think Kevin Durant's probably the safest, but I prefer the price the best on Kyrie at 8.8. Tatum is definitely viable as well. He will fly under the radar. I think a lot of people will flock to Kemba. Not saying Kemba's a terrible play. I think he's actually a pretty solid play in the mid-range, but Tatum will just go overlooked for that reason. Gabe Vincent or Gary Harris. Depends on starting lineup news for Miami and if Tyler Hero is out. If Tyler Hero is out and like Gabe Vincent starts, then it's close. Gary Harris also, though, is like, I never like playing him because he's very reliant on the scoring. 4-1, he's been playing around the 30-minute mark. I think the safer option is Gary Harris probably either way. KZ Okpala or Achua. I know you're playing the single game, so that's why you're asking. Let's see, how many minutes? KZ Okpala. So, I think I'd probably rather go to Precious. I don't love either, but I guess I would take the shot in Precious. I know that's why you're asking this because of the single game showdown. Is Kemba a good plant for cash? My one concern with Kemba is that we still haven't seen huge minutes from him. So kind of like John Wall, we were guessing last slate. I was hoping John Wall would get close to the 30-minute mark. He only played 24. So maybe something happens where Kemba only plays 25 minutes and then you don't want him. So there is that slight risk. But he's going to be decently popular. I think he's a fine play. There's just some concern about his minutes. What do you think about Whiteside tonight? No, I wouldn't play Whiteside. A whole lot of tilt incoming. You know what's going to happen. It's a 12-game slate, so something we're going to see an Austin Rivers game from someone. Ayton going to be slept on. I think Ayton's one of my favorite plays in the slate. He's the thumbnail to my video live stream. I really like DeAndre Ayton. Kendrick Nunn, I think Kendrick Nunn's a really, really solid play, especially if Tyler Hero's out. If Tyler Hero's in, Nunn is solid, but not a priority. If Tyler Hero's out, I have a hard time getting away from Kendrick Nunn. What's Paris's core? I'll have to talk to her and get back to you. Is Norman Powell a good cash play? At $6K, I probably wouldn't go to him in cash. Crowder or Johnson? Yeah, Garland's fine. If you have money, would pay up for Doncic. I think Doncic he'll go a little bit overlooked, but I do like Doncic for GPPs. Thoughts on Nunn, Beal, Ingram, Anthony Gill, Bam, Walker, Johnson, and Zeller? I think that's perfectly fine for GPPs. Yeah, Bagley and Hayward. Both decent options. CP3, Clarkson, Bridges, Cam Johnson, Zeller, Conley, Sabonis, and Ayton. I like that. Yeah. You got 3, or you got 4. You do have 4 Suns. I don't know if I'd play 4. I am high in Phoenix, but you have CP3, Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Ayton. I think I'd limit it to 3 at most. Lamb or Cameron Johnson. With Sabonis playing, I think I'll give that edge to Cam Johnson. Luka or Beal? That's a good question. I think Beal will be more popular with no Westbrook, but that's really close. Really close for me. Both have a good amount of upside. That's a tough one. I think go with your gut on that. I do like both at the top. Yeah, we don't know for certain, right? We're kind of guessing. I haven't seen anything definitive on Kemba and minutes. Neto, I think Neto would be an okay play if he plays. If there's no minutes restriction for Neto and he starts, then he would look better. If he plays 20 to 25 minutes, I think he's just a fine option. Favorite cash value? I think, there's a couple guys, right? We got, if you consider those Suns wings, I think those guys look pretty good. I think Cody Zeller, 3-4 looks like a pretty decent option. I think, Ingles looks okay. Man, I hate late minute news. Yeah, there's going to be a ton. Culver out, Edwards minutes secured. Yeah, you can take a shot on Anthony Edwards. You just got to know, risk or the floor is somewhat low with him. Can you play Zeller or GPP? Yeah. He's 3-4. I'm guessing, again, this is me guessing. We don't know for sure, but Biyombo is playing mid to high 20s minutes when starting. So I'm guessing we get close to that for Zeller, which does make him a pretty solid play in my opinion, if we get those minutes. Now, sure, something weird can happen. Maybe he starts and maybe he only plays 15 minutes, and then I'm going to tilt really hard. But it's not confirmed he's going to play mid 20s minutes. Can I start Clarkson and Ingles together? No, I think you can play both. One of those guys should start, I would say. Drummond or Capella? Capella for me. Dragic out. Yeah, Dragic out. We knew that. TJ McConnell or Neto. Don't love either. If Neto's on a minutes limit, I guess McConnell, but I don't really want to get to either, to be honest. Yep. Cody Zeller's good. Jeremy Grant or Zion. Lamb or Robinson. I think I'll go Robinson with no Westbrook. I think he'll be the number 2. Aaron Gordon or Zion, that's a close one. Both are in good matchups. Depends. It's basically 50-50 for me. Aaron Gordon has flashed a little bit more ceiling than Zion, but I do like both a good amount. Thoughts on Garland, Ingles, DeRozan, Hayward, Ayton, Neto, Zion, and Gobert in cash? I think it's decent. If there's no minutes limit for Neto, I think he's solid. If he's limited to 20 to 25 minutes, he's still okay. Like, he's an okay value play. Aldridge or Oubre, I would honestly rather have Oubre. Aldridge is kind of just, like, he's just not getting minutes right now. You know Watanabe. Yeah, you know my boy. Original, actually, let's see. Thoughts on GameStop? Crazy stuff. I'll tell you that. OG is out. Okay. OG is out. So, are we still waiting on Siakam? OG Anunoby ruled out. Yeah, we're still waiting on Siakam. So, like, if Siakam's out too, then we have some interest. We have, like, I think Stanley Johnson becomes a pretty good value play, assuming he starts. And then we would have, like, Boucher, who would be an intriguing GBP play because we know the upside is there. Yeah, I mean, Doncic usually will get you close. He'll usually get you close to a triple-double, to be honest. Bagley and Hayward again. Hayward I like. Bagley's all right. Bridges or Johnson for Phoenix. Close one. Really close one. I like them both a good amount. I'll go Cam just because he's a little bit cheaper, but I like both. Beal, must, and Cash, not a must, but he's a good spend up for sure. No, yeah, Duncan is just, he's too expensive at that price. He's too score independent for me to get to him. Zion or Hayward? That's a good question. I like the matchup a little bit better for Zion, so I'll go Zion. Draymond tonight is viable. He's not, doesn't seem like the same player, but like I said, like I could see an upside game from him in this matchup. He was just all right last time they played. Cole Anthony is a decent play as well in the mid-range, yeah. Like Vucevic. Garland is not a lock, but he's definitely in play for value. Kemba played 24 in a blowout, 29 close game. Yeah, I'm guessing we get around the 30-minute mark for Kemba, which makes him a pretty solid play. Not a must play, but definitely one of the better plays in that range. Vooch or Tatum, Vooch. Javon Carter, no thank you. Shooting guard under 4K. I don't know if there's any. Like, I can take a look. I want to say there's no one I like. Yeah, so like I'm not really confident with anyone. If I had to pick someone, it would be Vassell, just because he's been playing around the 20 to 25 minute mark, but I'm not really confident in that. Embiid or Vooch, that's a good question. I'll go Vooch because I like the matchup better, but yeah. Osman's a little too pricey for me. A little too pricey. What up, DK? Do you think, who do you like more, Jarrett Allen or Vanderbilt? That's a good question. Not in love with either. They're both going to be, a little bit lower owned. The thing is, Jarrett Allen did play a little bit alongside Drummond. He's at 5.3 now. So, like, that's a playable price for Jarrett Allen. I think I would take the shot on Jarrett Allen. As weird as that sounds, like I don't love it today, but like if between those two, I think I'd go Allen. Powell with OG out. Yeah, so my one issue with Powell is that he is priced up, right? 6K is kind of a premium price for him, but he's played 37 to 40 minutes. He shot the ball really well and actually filled up the stat sheet. It's like he is viable, but like I said, you're paying a premium for him. Not a must play, but still viable and would get a boost still if Siakam's out. Drummond at 8.4. So my one issue with Andre Drummond is just the minutes, right? I don't think he like has upside for like 35 minutes. So that's like the one concern. Also, he does have foul trouble issues too. But like I think we get, high 20s, maybe 30 minutes from him. It is a really good matchup. So like I think you can definitely take a shot in Drummond and GPPs. I don't know if I go there. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on him in cash, but for GPPs, yeah. Two power forwards with 10-3 left. I don't know what the rest of your lineup looks like, so it's a little bit hard to say, right? Like, like mid-range wise, I don't know if there's a ton of power forwards I love. It's kind of a hard question to answer. Maybe you go like one of the Phoenix wings, like Cam or Jay Crowder, and then go up to. Yeah, the thing is, there's just not a lot like up here that I love. That would leave you like. I guess if you had like 10K remaining, you probably have to be somewhere in this range. So you could like, I would say probably one of those like OKC or not the Phoenix wings. I mean, Van Fleet. Yeah, I think Van Fleet would be a really solid play, especially if Siakam's out. Zion or Aaron Gordon. I think I'll give the edge to Zion, but that's basic coin flip again. Yeah, Zion or Ingram. Yeah, coin flip for me. Honestly, Zion or Jeremy Grant. I'll go Zion again. Both Zion and Aaron Gordon are in really good matchups. Jeremy Lamb out of play. With Sabonis back, I'm not sure how many minutes he plays. I'm not saying he's completely out of play. Again, 5-1 no. I think he's like an okay play. But he is riskier with Sabonis playing. Yeah, I think Vooch is a good play. Thoughts on Wiggins, secondary play for me. I just never really play Andrew Wiggins. He had 3 blocks, 3 steals last game, so a little more of an outlier performance. I think I'm just going to live in the mid-range. I think that's a decent there's a lot of good plays in the mid-range. There's thoughts on Kendrick Nunn. If Tyler Hero's out, I think he's one of the best plays in the mid-range. If Hero's in, I think he's still viable, but not just like would be all right. Yep, OG out. Do you like Russell if he plays, and do you think he'll be limited? I think he's a decent GBP play. Definitely not, a cash game play because this is a low floor. But his revenge game narrative, I don't think he'll be limited unless we hear otherwise. So, I would think we'd probably get around the 32, low 30s minutes from him. That's what we've been getting in close games. Capella or Ayton, I would rather have the price in Ayton, but both are good center plays today. Boucher due to a smash. I think Boucher is a good GBP play. Especially if Siakam is out, I do like Boucher for GBPs. Cassius Winston, yes. If Cassius starts at point guard, I think he's actually one of the best value plays of the day. Collins is all right. Secondary, if Capella was out, Collins would be a guy I would probably prioritize in the slate. With Capella in, I think Collins is still fine, but more of a secondary play. Can I play Aaron Gordon and Vucevic? So, on a 12-game slate, I don't know if you have to do that. Unless you're just, game stacking, hoping for overtime. I would rather have Vooch between the two. Yeah, it's definitely going to be Cam Johnson over Royce O'Neal for me. Clarkson or Conley, good question. I think Conley's more of the cash play. Clarkson more of the GBP play. Right, Clarkson's a very aggressive player. We know when he's out there, he's going to shoot the ball with no Donovan Mitchell. He should get more minutes, possibly even start. Conley, I think, has a little bit of a higher floor. So Conley more cash play, Clarkson more the GBP play. Exactly, Mixer. Can we play Vooch? Again, I probably would only play one. Cole Anthony or Steven Adams? That's a good question. I think both are decent plays in the mid-range. I'll go Cole Anthony. Do we like Turner? Now it's Sabonis back. AD and Ingles or Zion and Vanderbilt. I'll go AD and Ingles there. Neto playing, we still don't know. Josh Jackson thoughts, a decent GBP play. Capella or Trey, honestly, they're both pretty similar plays. I like them both for GBPs. I don't know if I get to either in cash, but like the matchup for both. Again, Capella, Brooklyn struggles rebound the ball. Trey Young, we know upside is there. So I like them both for GBPs. Don't have a super strong take on that. I like Chris Paul and Kemba Walker point guard combo. I think that's a good combo. Yeah, I think both are safer plays in the slate. Hey DK, Chris Paul or Mike Conley? If you can get to Chris Paul. But I think those two plus Kemba, those guys are solid point guard plays for sure. You like Garland DK? I think he's a decent value play, not a must. Decent value play. Lowry and Zeller or Ayton and Windler? Lowry and Zeller. Jokic in play for cash? You could do it. You could. I think there might be better plays for cheaper, but Jokic is I don't know. He does have a high floor. I don't know if I pull a trigger on him in cash. Kemba or DeJounte Murray? That's a good question. Kemba's going to be more popular. I don't mind going to DeJounte to get different. DeJounte has triple-double upside. Kemba's had some good games, but he's going to be popular. I think I would honestly go DeJounte and GBPs. No, Horford being in doesn't do a ton. I still like DeAndre Ayton. Gobert or Ayton? That's a good question. I'll go Ayton, but it's really close. I think they're two of the better center plays at the slate. Doncic, Nunn, Ingles, Cam Johnson, Zeller, Winston, Giannis, and Gobert. I like the upside in it. I think, again, Josh Jackson definitely viable for sure. Jamal Murray and Anthony Davis or Kyrie and Porter Jr.? Wait. Oh, Michael Porter Jr.? I think I'll go with the second one for GBPs. Jeremy Grant is in play for sure. Yeah, he's viable. Aaron Gordon or Zion. Again, I've got asked that a couple times. It's Zion, but it's basic coin flip. I like the matchup for both. Both should play big minutes. Grant or Ingram. Already have Derrick Rose. I'd rather have Ingram then. Gordon or Hayward. I like the matchup a little bit better for Gordon. So I guess him. But yeah, both are good plays. Could you play Bridges, Johnson, and Crowder in the same lineup? I don't think I would play all three. I don't think I would play all three of the wings. You can definitely play two, I think. Blowout risk in Toronto, Milwaukee a little bit, especially if Siakam's out. Fading Kemba. Kemba's not a must for sure. Conley, Bagley, Capella, or Clarkson, Aaron Gordon, and Ayton. I like the second one better. Oubre or Johnson. Are we talking about Cam Johnson or Kelly Oubre? I like the price better on Cam Johnson, but if price doesn't matter, Oubre. Thoughts on both Steph and Beal in the same lineup? I like the upside on a lot. Vooch or Ayton? If you can get to Vooch. But I think, again, those two are two of the better center plays for sure. KZ Okpala, no thank you. Neto news yet. We're still waiting on it, I believe. All right, guys, one more minute, and then I do it to get out of here. Kevon Looney remains starting. You can punt with him if you want to. I prefer Zeller, but yeah, Looney probably plays around the 15 to 20 minute mark. Brown or Middleton? Don't love either. Middleton, I guess. Are you fading any of the games today? Well, there's 12 games, so yeah, I can't like the games I like the most. I would say I like Minnesota, Golden State. I like the Utah side in this game. I like the Phoenix side in this game. I like Washington, New Orleans as a game. And then, some of the games kind of depend on news. So yeah, obviously I'm fading some games. Embiid definitely in play as well. Like center's loaded. Center's loaded. You got to make some really tough calls. You have Jokic at the top. You have Embiid, Vooch, Capella that are like in that 9K range. I like a good amount. You can go to Drummond and GPPs, and then you have like in the mid-range, more mid-range guys like DeAndre Ayton, Rudy Gobert. I think look really good. You can take a shot in Boucher for GPPs. There's so many good value plays. And then like down at the bottom, I mean, you have guys like Cody Zeller, maybe even Kevon Looney. Hero's out. Okay, so that's pretty big news, right? Tyler Hero's out. Good thing that came right now. So with Tyler Hero out and Goran Dragic out, I think Miami is definitely where we want to get some exposure to. Unless this game definitely has some blowout risk now with those two both out. But yeah, I don't know how I get away from Kendrick Nunn with those two out. Like I guess he's not a must play, but like he's gonna be the number one guard for sure with those two guys out and Jimmy Butler out. I don't have a ton of interest in Duncan Robinson. I think you can punt with Avery Bradley if you want to, just because he's at min price. We haven't seen him since the 9th, so there's some risk here. Not a super high usage guy, but he's basically min price. Gabe Vincent as well is at 3-2. We got to see a starting lineup, but I think Gabe Vincent Avery Bradley, and Iguodala are all viable punt options. Those guys should have to get some good minutes here with no Tyler Hero. Yeah, all three of those guys viable. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Good luck to everyone tonight. I appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. We're still waiting on some news, so obviously keep an eye on it. Good luck, and I'll see you guys all here tomorrow.